Hey, Juliet. Good evening. I'm just working on some poetry projects here. I thought I would turn on chat in case anybody wanted to chat. Well, gee, thank you for the subscription, Juliet. It sort of makes me smile that you chose this moment to subscribe when I'm here engaged in thoughtful silence. Maybe my strong suit. Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. I've started to think that beyond playing video games, which I'm going to continue to do, that it might be nice to have kind of virtual office hours on here where we can gather and do creative projects together, or just chat about poetry or writing or philosophy or anything else. Uh, I was an English professor once upon a time, and I kind of liked the office hours part as just kind of an excuse to hang out and chat. So I thought, well, I can recreate that with Twitch. So I'm here kind of. I'm doing this weird thing lately where sometimes I write for social media specifically, um, especially poetry, kind of working within the constraints of the length of a Twitter post, which isn't, I think, a bad way to go about starting to compose a poem, because it seems like having some structure to the length, um, to the just the volume of words I can use. Um, when I have a concept and that structure, oh yeah, I would. I'm a fan of the Oxford comma. But when I have that structure, I think it helps me at least get started with a poem, even if I then expand on it when it ends up in something like a poetry collection. So sometimes in the first phase of that, it starts with, I have so many journals. Um, this is not a bad thing, but when you're a writer and people need to get you a gift, they tend to buy you a cool journal, especially if you're me and I'm a writer who loves nature themed stuff. See, this is a cool owl journal. Anyway, people buy me a lot of journals. So sometimes I really don't want to compose poetry on my phone or even on the computer, so it helps for me to do some freehand stuff first. Plus, I can take this on hikes, which is helpful. I'm at the spot in this process, though, where I'm kind of writing what I will charitably call word salad on an idea. And then slowly, hopefully, it will coalesce into something a little bit more polished. I want to see this Oxford comma fan club shirt. Maybe I'll Google it. Well, that might not be a coincidence. I tend to start streaming after my kiddo is in bed, and I've had a minute to decompress. So, makes sense. Huh. It's probably a setting I have. I'll have to look into. Hmm. If you're on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you can message it to me that way. Or Tumblr. I turned on a lot of the restrictive settings because I don't have a moderator. I know you love this shirt, okay? Yeah, amateur mycologist with questionable morels. Oh, thanks, Juliet. Cool. Hey, who did I see? Did I see via other social media that you were doing a tree trimming project recently? The world of social media is a strange world. Thanks, Ren. I was explaining a little earlier that I'd like to start doing something that I'm kind of jokingly calling office hours. Well, thank you for the subscription. Really appreciate it. Oobles. Obles. I was an English professor once upon a time, and I liked the office hours, so I thought that I could start holding sort of virtual office hours, partly as a way to sit here and write, but also then just chat about anything folks want to chat about. Cut down a removed crabapple. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I went and tried to help someone do some tree felling, and I am not a tree felling expert. I'm just a chainsaw. About being a tree felling expert is vital to the process. That's a little bit harrowing if you're doing anything remotely complicated. Ah. Well, I saw that picture and I thought, well, that looks like a lot of work. In very me fashion, I'm working on a poem about the nature of knowledge and how it connects to a general sort of anxiety about death. So, light stuff. Grandpa Johnson. Oh my. I don't have any grandparents nearby. I don't have any parents nearby. And sometimes I think there should be a service available in every municipality where you can just rent a grandpa or grandma, where you can just rent like an elder who knows things just for advice or things like the proper way to remove a crabapple tree. You know, YouTube kind of stands in for that for me sometimes, but it's just not the same. That's a good point. That's a good point, Juliet. Although not recently, but soon. I get my second vaccine on Friday, so then I could visit a nursing home, I assume. Yeah, but only if they catch you, who? You just need to bring a potted plant costume. You just need to bring a potted plant costume and a dolly. Hey, thanks for the bits. Much appreciated. You get yours on the 21st. I'm going to assume you're talking about the vaccine and not a stolen senior citizen. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm certainly excited about it. I got on a overflow list that let me get one a little bit early. Got the Pfizer vaccine a little bit earlier than any bracket I would have been in, so I was excited about that. A local hospital called me and was like, "Can you be here in 15 minutes?" And I said, "Absolutely." Stolen senior citizens. Look, some of those nursing homes are boring. It might be exciting to be stolen. Maybe it's a service. You're getting your second in a few weeks. Nice. Nebraska is open to 18 and up. Cool. Yeah, Ohio just opened to 16 and up. So, I have a lot of friends that fall into that bracket, but then, then it's a scavenger hunt right now to find where you can get the shot. This is 5 minutes from a Night Vale episode. What part? The encouragement of stealing senior citizens? It's a public service. It's not really stealing, if you think about it. I'm not caught up on Night Vale. I need to binge the last, 10 episodes of Night Vale. Jeffrey Craner from Night Vale was kind enough to do a cameo on my podcast. Very nice guy. He was also on a panel I set up out at PodCon in Seattle a couple years ago. Had a very cool shirt that was just all actual pictures of snakes. Very nice guy. Will you publish your poems? Yes, indeed. I have a poetry collection called Field Guide to the Haunted Forest that's available pretty much everywhere online. I also have a copy here. Field Guide to the Haunted Forest by Jared K. Anderson. That's me. I'm popular in the Night Vale Facebook group. Oh, I've seen a bit of that. I've been tagged. I got to tell Jeffrey Craner that often a compliment I receive on my podcast is it reminds them of Night Vale. So I got to personally express that I was partly indebted to them for inspiration. Which is partly true. I have kind of a deep background in weird fiction that is... You couple that with my love of nature documentaries, and that's more the start of the podcast. But I definitely knew about Night Vale, and Night Vale kind of taught me that you could have one narrator chatting, and that would work. And so I think that got me up and running. I'm writing notes about a poem I'm working on. As I said, it was about kind of the nature of knowledge and how that ties to anxiety about death. And that is too broad a topic. This is one of those where it's like, okay, well, that I have a lot to say about that. And when you have a lot to say about it, that's usually not the starting point for a poem. So I'm at that point where I just need to write and figure out exactly what the little niche in this particular topic is that I want for a poem. Yeah, I'm still doing the self-addressed stamped envelopes. I am this behind, but I usually get out the book plates every 2 weeks or so. So I've sent out hundreds so far. I'll repost about that, Juliet. Thanks for mentioning that. They look like this. And so then I sign them and personalize them however you want. Oh, good. Yeah, I've sent out quite a few. I've had some folks in other countries that we had to do some brainstorming on figuring out how to get them shipped, but it's not been hard. We have an international stamp that is actually pretty cheap. Do a John Green-esque signing marathon. I've never seen John Green do that. I really like Hank and John, like as people. I have chatted with them. Hank Green also did a cool cameo on my podcast that I appreciated, but other than Hank's song about anglerfish, I'm not super up to date on the Green brothers, the Brothers Green. Wow. Yeah. If you had to sign that much, I feel like chatting while streaming might be a way to preserve your sanity, but definitely not your wrists. I don't have great handwriting to begin with, so I really have to kind of focus. I try not to do too many in a row for that very reason. John, did John write The Fault in Our Stars? Is that right? I kind of know that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And he and Hank have like a long running show. Is it the Vlog Brothers? And then they do like a sort of an Ask Us show, right? I think that's right. Hang on, have another thought. Vlog Brothers and a bunch of YouTube info channels. Cool. Yeah, I know they're very into science communication, which is something I'm very into. I think we come at it sort of different ways, but huh. Okay. Well, I need more bingeable content, so that might be a good place for me to go. What's Tuesday's drink? Well, I normally reserve this particular drink for gaming on Saturdays, but I had a long day in which in laws came and visited. So I'm drinking the shameful drink that I refer to as the Florida Man, which is Diet Sunkissed Orange Pop and vodka. Very classy drink with a classy name. The Florida Man. Yeah. Yep. I'm not proud of it, okay? I'm not proud of it. I have. Yeah. Yeah. I know. There's nothing good about it. But, I started to develop like a sort of an allergic reaction to beer lately, um, which has been disappointing for me. Vanilla vodka, yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, yeah. I've been a beer guy forever, but yeah, I've started to develop sort of a weird allergy to it. Um, and so for a while, I just stopped drinking anything alcoholic, and then I realized that drinking something alcoholic was really kind of part of the fun of the ridiculous gaming that I do over Zoom. So, yep, perfectly healthy thing to do. So I cobbled together this terrible Frankenstein drink from what I had in the house at the time, and somehow, the way traditions do, it has inexplicably become a tradition. That's how it happens. Traditions really are often, at least traditions among my friends, traditions often have just ridiculous, absurd beginnings. Um, because it almost doesn't matter what a tradition is. You ever notice that? That's not the point. The point is that it's an expression of shared history with people that, or even yourself, which sort of makes you feel rooted and grounded and either part of a community or kind of at home in your own life. Yes, the harrowing true life story of the Florida Man drink, a thing that only I drink and named. Grapefruit juice and gin. Huh. That sounds like it would be a good combination. What is the flavor of gin? Is it juniper? I know it has kind of a piney, kind of a pine flavor. It tastes like Christmas, yeah. Depends on the gin. Okay. I know sloe gin is a thing, SLOE, and that comes from the blackthorn bush. That's sloe berries. But I think that kind of gin is actually reddish. Pine trees and happiness. Yeah. I was never a liquor person, but if I am losing If I am losing my ability to drink beer, I guess I'm going to branch out. I mean, I keep bees. I guess I could try to do mead. I have like 50 pounds of honey in my garage. I mean, you don't need to, Ren. Squirt and tequila. I know what squirt is. Feelings. 50 pounds, yeah. Yeah, it's about 50 pounds of honey I have, yeah. I think. This honey I haven't extracted from a hive yet. I just have a literal hive body full of honeycomb. But I've estimated that it's probably close to 50 pounds of honey. I have to take it out and put it in the spinner to extract the honey. But honey kind of lasts forever, and I didn't feel like doing it yet, so I just wrapped the entire hive body in a garbage bag and put it in the garage for now. Oh, drinking a pine tree is the dream. Yeah. That sounds like something I might try, although I worry that the hops itself is what I'm allergic to. I tend to sometimes be allergic to certain kinds of pollen. You have a single tattoo and it's a pine tree. Well, yeah, I mean, you could also do, there are juniper beers and all kinds of interesting things. Pine trees are your gender. That's a good one. Evergreen. I do love pine trees. Do you have a favorite kind of pine tree, Ren? I think it's not technically a pine tree, I think, but I love Canadian hemlocks. We may have discussed this before. Was this you I was discussing this with? I have a tree tattooed somewhere. I think it's an apple tree, though. There it is. Mine is related to the thing I did for my master's thesis back in grad school. My main topic of study was Renaissance English poetry, especially Paradise Lost by John Milton. And I love tattoos, so I got some of the illustrations from Gustave Doré tattooed. Poem. It's a very religious poem, and I'm not remotely religious in a traditional sense. Wasn't raised religious, but the poem deals a lot with the nature of knowledge, and it really sucked me in. I just love the language. All of them, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that color. I think it's the border of my screen. I also love tattoos. They're kind of addictive. There are a lot more tattoos I want, but they're also kind of costly and time consuming, so I don't know. I'll get there. I really enjoy the experience of, I don't know, some of my tattoos took, I think one of them took, 18 hours? And so sitting in a tattoo shop for a very long time, I just love the people watching of seeing who comes in and what they want to talk about and what sort of tattoos they want. And then talking to the tattoo artist about their tattoo ideas after that person leaves. which is kind of fun. I don't know. Uh, I grew up in kind of a rural, maybe even a little bit sketchy area, and so some of my early tattoo experiences involved people walking into the shop and, they had their girlfriend's name tattooed on their neck, and they just broke up, so they wanted it covered up. And one guy said a thing that I will never forget. The tattoo artist said, okay, he had a neck tattoo he wanted covered up, and the tattoo artist said, okay, covered up with what? What do you want? And the guy said, I don't care, man, just something evil. I don't know, wolves or... and so we were both like, okay. And then after that guy left, we got to make fun of him. Just something evil. Don't care what it is. Just on my neck, make it evil. Yeah. Yep, there's something. And there was a lot of that vibe in that particular tattoo shop. Howdy, Amy. Yeah, you'd think that would be evil enough. This person wanted evil in more of the, metal album cover sense, though. Amy, I'd fill you in on what we've been talking about, but we're kind of all over the place. It could be. It could be feelings. I don't know. He didn't stick around that long. He just wanted a tattoo appointment as soon as possible and didn't seem terribly particular about what was being tattooed on him, so... This train hits many stations. That's a poetic phrase. Have you guys ever seen the cartoon Over the Garden Wall? You familiar with that one? Somebody recommended that to me, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I just loved it. It's so good. So good. It was such a... I don't know, such like a tidy, perfect narrative. So, it's not like it's set up for another season, but wow, I want that team to do something else. Does anybody know if that artistic team is working on any other projects? Yeah, so good. Yeah. I guess there's some overlap here. They do a comic series in the same world. Okay, nice. Somebody just recommended, who knew I loved that, another cartoon. What's it called? Hildy? Does that ring a bell to anybody? That is a girl and her mother who live someplace very strange. And I just watched one episode so far, and she's out in the hills with her deer fox and is sketching a troll on a mountainside. Hilda, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I took sort of a break from television for a while, and now I'm sort of getting back into watching stuff. So, if you have any similar recommendations, let me know. My camera keeps zooming in and out. Upcoming Redwall movie. Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, that sounds amazing. The Flame and the Flood. I like the sound of that. Gonna write it down. When When you say game, what kind of game? Oh, the flame in the flood. Is that a video game? Is it a tabletop? Survival, but chill survival. I do love chill survival. Maybe I'll download that. Maybe I'll download that while we're talking. A thing that I keep thinking about in terms of streaming is that I really love to mix up the video games I'm playing constantly. So, aha, there it is. Cool. A roguelike river journey through the backwaters of a forgotten post-societal America. Forge, craft, evade predators. Yep, that sounds great. $15, I've earned it. I chased a toddler around all day. Well, look for me streaming this new game some point in the future. You know, I downloaded The Long Dark. I started playing a little bit. I never really got fully into it, but I need to give it Spiritfarer, yeah. Spiritfarer I have enjoyed. It's another one I need to I don't know. Spiritfarer is one where I feel like I need to put in a little more work to understand the game mechanics, and then it'll hook me. I loved the art and the vibe of Spiritfarer, but I didn't play it for a lot of hours. Kentucky Route Zero. Yeah, I've heard about that on a couple of video game podcasts I listen to. Seems like it's kind of a bizarre narrative. Yeah, me too. I guess I'll try it and just sort of tag it as a first playthrough stream, which seems to be a genre on Twitch. What gets pretty sad? Spiritfarer? Ugh. I have trouble handling pretty sad right now. Yeah. I spend a lot of time mentally pushing back against pretty sad, so I try to avoid it in my media at the moment. You cried? Well, was it like wholesome crying or like wholesome, this is so beautiful, this narrative? Or like, this is brutally sad kind of crying? Because the older I get, the more I will cry at the drop of a hat at media that is moving in like any number of ways. So wholesome sadness. Okay, well that might be all right. Spiritfarer, a lot of video games, kind of like I did just now. If I see a video game and I know I will like it, I will buy it, and then I will rediscover it in 1 to 3 years usually. So I'm sure I will get to it. I had to remember to stop my cuckoo clock before I stream. Or I think you can hear the ticking. I don't know. I can definitely hear it through the microphone. I love that cuckoo clock, though. Relatives brought it to me on a coming back from a trip to the Black Forest in Germany. So, I don't know. I've always loved cuckoo clocks. I don't know why. I guess they kind of go with my whole aesthetic, huh? Has like 5 cuckoo clocks? Yeah. Does she keep them going simultaneously? And does she let them do the cuckoo? Because I often have the cuckoo function on my cuckoo clock turned off so that it doesn't scare the hell out of me in the middle of the night. Unlike my drink. Yeah. Yeah. What would be a good drink for my aesthetic? I don't know. Maybe mead. I don't know. I remember when I was younger and trying to be a writer, and teachers always talked about teachers always talked about no, go for it. Always talked about finding your voice and how unhelpful I always found that comment. But it's one of those things where I think voice is just a descriptive term for the way you write when you've been writing a long time. I think of it because I kind of think of that like as my aesthetic. Like whatever is my aesthetic is just me collecting things I like over and over again for decades. Suddenly it becomes an aesthetic. But then it's funny because then it almost starts to work backwards, where I'll be at a flea market or something and be like, well, that looks like my aesthetic. It's like, wait, do I like it? Or does it look like it matches my other things? Because those might be two distinct things. Not that I've been into a flea market in a year. Chamomile tea and honey liquor. Well, I'm not going to lie, that sounds delicious. Yeah. Yeah, I think that comes from when you're starting out, it's hard to not learn to write by emulating other people. And then at some point you stop doing that, and that's when you start to seem more authentic. But it's not a bad way to talk about writing sometimes, but as somebody who has been in a zillion creative writing classes, I find it's not a terribly useful thing to say to somebody who's trying to improve their writing. Because things like authentic or voice are kind of nebulous terms to describe how you feel when you're reading something. It isn't like constructive criticism that somebody can act on, you know? I mean, I'll kind of use it when I'm thinking about my own stuff, especially longer things. I mean, I'm working on a novel right now on top of all the other stuff. And especially longer pieces of prose, as I read back through, it'll be like, okay, well, this section feels inauthentic, like I was sleepy when I wrote it, or I was just trying to power through my word count for that writing session. But I can't get too caught up on that when I'm doing a first draft, or it will never get done. I talk about that sometimes with people who want to start a podcast, because there's a lot of advice out there about really working hard on your pre-production and making sure everything is perfect and scripted, and just that everything is perfect just so before you start. And I feel more like just start. Just record and publish something and then get better as you do it. Because I feel like if you wait for the perfect time for something like that, for a creative project, then There will never be a perfect time for that. I don't have any idea who I'm preaching to. I'm just talking to myself. The idea I started with for the poem I'm trying to write was that I think a lot of anxiety about death comes from the idea that we'll stop knowing things in the way that humans know them, like loss of self, right? But I think that kind of does a disservice to the universe in general. Like, human brains evolved to keep us fragile, finite things, whole and safe, in the wilderness, looking at patterns, organizing, forming communities. This is all good stuff for fragile human bodies to keep us alive. But the idea that that is the only sort of knowledge, like the idea that humans are the universe knowing itself, it's a cool thing to say, but I think there's an innate knowledge and simple existence, sort of like a wholeness to the universe that doesn't need a flesh and blood organ to know things. And I think sort of if we can find a way to understand and come to terms with that kind of knowledge, sort of universal, effortless knowledge outside of bodies and heads and brains, then suddenly the idea of kind of joining with that sort of wholeness, that effortless kind of knowledge, is sort of one way to make peace with the idea of mortality. And then so I think things like that and start to write down notes about things like that. And then there's a long distance between that and something that ends up being a tweet or a poem. It's weird. Like, that's a topic that feels like fertile ground for poetry to me, and yet it's so big that there's no way to say that sort of rambly thing I just did, without using big, broad, abstract terms. And poetry comes, in my mind, from the interplay between big, broad ideas and then little specific images. You can talk about mortality, but then you need to find a way to bring it back to a cornflower blue tea kettle sitting on a wrought iron table on the back porch. And if you can't find a way to bring the big abstract stuff and then anchor it in something real and specific, then it just feels like you're somebody in a dorm room talking about big philosophical ideas, and then that doesn't reach people. All right, now I'm just thinking out loud about poetry. Let me sip my classy Florida man beverage and think deep poetic thoughts for a minute. While I try to organize my thoughts here, does anybody want to share anything that they're working on? Want to tell us about something you're creating? I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, I agree, Ren. But I think thinking about that kind of knowledge and the difference between what we are and like big capital U universe kind of existence is maybe good for us to contextualize ourselves within our environments. But it's hard. I mean, it's hard, but it might be worth doing even if we're going to fail, I think. Making a magazine collage cards for my friends lately. Oh, that sounds cool. Ugh. Yeah, I feel that, Amy. Keep trying to find little nice things I can do for my friends, just like, hi, I'm still your friend, even though we can't see each other. I keep dropping off baked goods. I don't know, that's what I've got. Oh, watercolor postcards. That sounds awesome. Watercolor is so impressive to me. I've tried it a few times, and the waters and the colors never go where I want them to. Yeah, Ren, I don't. Yeah. It is difficult. I don't know. I tend to think the exercise of thinking about sort of questions make people more thoughtful and empathetic in a way that I think improves them as people. I don't know. I think it improves me. Brand new and still learning. Hey, that is a good place to be. Trying to I'm trying to draw more. I always loved drawing growing up. Then I just kind of stopped. Drunken impressionist art. Meh. I think that's a reasonable genre. Oh, cool. I mean, I have watercolor supplies in the house. Leslie loves art and art projects, and both her parents were art professors, and so we just tend to accumulate art supplies. uh, oh, you guys are the best. So, tell me, as we sneak up on almost an hour of hanging out together, is this a good thing to do? This was sort of struck me as a strange idea I had. This sort of virtual office hour chat. Nice little secret club. Good. All right. Okay, cool. Because I had a moment before I hit start streaming where it's like, what am I doing? I don't have a specific goal here. But I don't know. I had a suspicion that just turning this on as a place to meet and chat might be nice. Kind of easy for me. Okay, cool. All right. I'll do more. Ugh. Yeah, I hear you. Who? I mean, I want to sit here and work on little projects kinda anyway, was the thought. So I thought, well, either people will show up and chat or they won't, and it'll be nice either way. Yeah, I don't know. This feels nice to me, probably for the reason that Who just mentioned. I tell you, I sort of, I've thought of myself as borderline introverted before, but the pandemic is really making me question that. I think it's that certain kinds of interactions with people take energy. But that doesn't mean that I don't also sort of draw energy and comfort from human interaction. It's interesting. Being trapped inside with a kiddo is a lot. Yeah, yeah. I guess I guess most of the streamers I follow are lower counts. I guess I occasionally watch some speedrunners that have high counts, but mostly I feel like if there's no interaction, it's like, all right, well, why am I not watching a YouTube video? I tell you though, I've only discovered Twitch over, I don't know, pretty recently. Please don't get super popular. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Something tells me that I'm not too much in danger of getting super popular as we sit and chat about Florida man drinks and poetry. Yeah. Ugh, I miss coffee shops. I miss coffee shops, Ren. Well, maybe I'll mention on social media that I'm gonna do these little office hours. I mean, a lot of people aren't on Twitch too, so a couple people were like openly antagonistic about the idea of Twitch. Like I posted about Twitch at one point, and I got several people like, "No, not Twitch." Okay, well, you didn't need to tell me that, but okay. Coffee shops and libraries used to be sort of my favorite spot to write. Kind of half listening to other people's conversations, and it's good for writing dialogue. Sort of dipping in and out of other people's interactions, which isn't creepy. It's writing research. Oh, really? Okay. Mm. I got drawn to Twitch through GDQ, Games Done Quick, which is like it's a stream of people speed running video games for charities. So it was very wholesome. Don't you dare, who? Wholesome. I think it's tough to find good communities. It's just a lifelong truism, too. Ugh. Yeah. Now more than ever, I have to wonder. I have to imagine Twitch has grown exponentially during the pandemic, right? Like I was never in the market for live streaming interactions until recently. But now I'm like, well, where has this been all my life? All right. Well, I am going to go eat a sandwich to settle my Florida man. think maybe I'll just, yeah, yeah. Supplemental income would be nice. Yeah. Yeah. My background in writing and poetry hasn't been, the best financial decision, but whatever. I am who I am. Thank you for the company. I think I'll just switch this to my thanks for watching screen and leave it on for a bit in case you guys want to continue chatting. But my stomach is growling. I called my stomach earlier today. I was trying to come up with slang for stomachs, and one of them I threw out was ham mansion, and Leslie got visibly angry at me. So I'll leave you with that thought. All right, I'll be back. Thanks, everybody.